Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is David. This is episode 1238B, and today's date is March 26, 2017, and the title of the episode is The Elite and Ultra-Wealthy Are Preparing for Something Big. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview with John Rubino. It's on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It will bring you right to the video. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the video right on the site. Or you can go to newssentinel.com. Same thing, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, and you can play the video there. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, on Friday, we understand that the new healthcare bill, that was being pushed, and they wanted it to pass. Trump was out there saying that he's going to back it. Paul Ryan had 7 years with the Republicans to create this incredible healthcare bill, and guess what happened? They tried to push crap. That's really what happened. But when we look at what is going on here, and I know Trump was out there trying to say that this is an incredible healthcare, but from his actions and what he's doing right now, it seems like he had a completely different mission. Now, we all understand that out of the 25 or so exchanges through Obamacare, more than half have closed down already. We've lost billions and billions of dollars. Many of the states only have one choice for insurance. We also understand in many of the states the premiums are rising anywhere between 25% all the way up to 100 and something percent. And we can see that Obamacare is completely imploding on itself right now. And I know that they come out with numbers saying that, 20 million people are going to lose their insurance, but you really need to break down these numbers and understand where they're getting the numbers from. I hate when they just pull out numbers and tell you, oh, it's 20 million people, but they didn't tell you that, 8 million of them were already on Medicaid. They didn't tell you that 6 million already had insurance policies, and those policies got canceled, and they had to move on to Obamacare. It's not like they didn't have insurance. They already had it, but they had to move on to it. They didn't tell you that 7.5 million people decided that it was just too expensive and they couldn't afford it, so they took the penalty instead. They leave that part out of it. But we can see right now what is happening with Obamacare is more and more people saying, I just cannot pay for this. If someone who is making $40,000 or $50,000 and they have 4 kids or 3 kids or 2 kids, and they have to spend $1,200, $1,400, $1,500 a month without getting subsidies and pay for the premiums, they just can't pay for it. It's too expensive. So that whole Affordable Care Act thing, it makes no sense. And I think Trump realizes that eventually what's going to happen is this thing is going to implode. And we realize that Paul Ryan, he's had, 7 years or so to think of an incredible, along with the Republicans, an incredible health care plan. And what he put forth was complete garbage. I mean, it was terrible. And I know Trump was out there saying, yes, I back it. We should vote for this. And I think this was part of his plan because we know that Paul Ryan, he's not really with Trump on anything, just like McCain and all the others. And I think what was happening is he wanted this failure. He wanted this to happen. It's part of his strategy. And I know people are going to say, well, no, this whole thing came around down him and it's all his fault and blah, 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 blah. But really look at what's happening right now because he tweeted out and he says he wanted everyone to watch Judge Jeanine and her show that she puts on, and Trump was going to be on there, and she's calling for the resignation of Paul Ryan. And Trump is saying that, yes, I back her. And of course, now there's other reports saying the White House is saying that Trump never said this. But we can see it was put out there. And the way Trump works and the way he talks about things and the way he puts things out there is to get people thinking, is to get people to say, well, wait a minute, who really did this? He had 7 years to put this together. He put together crap. He presented crap, and it didn't pass. And it wasn't for the people at all. And I believe when looking at this, this was a complete setup on his part. Now, we understand that Robert David Steele, who is an ex-CIA operative, he talked about Reince Priebus, he talked about Paul Ryan, and many others are saying that they are not working for him. They are working against him. And we can see already that they're starting to blame Priebus on this also about how this new health plan didn't get through. And to me, this looks like it was a complete setup to try to make a maneuver to get these individuals out of office right now. Now, does this mean that Trump is going to go back on his word? He's not going to repeal Obamacare? No, what I think is happening right now, he wanted to get through this terrible health care bill that was already being presented. The Republicans were completely behind it. They wanted it. This is what they thought was great. And I think what's going to happen now is they're going to really work on something that is going to be hopefully beneficial to the people. Now, if they put something out there that's absolutely terrible, we need to call them on it. This is awful. This is terrible. This is not going to work for the people. There should be no penalties. There should be no forcing of individuals onto this new plan. If this plan is going to stand on its own and it's going to be good for the people, then everyone in Congress needs to take it. There should be no penalties whatsoever. It should be affordable, and it should fit America. And we'll have to wait to see how this goes. McCain right now, he is talking about how the New World Order is under enormous strain right now. And he's saying that things aren't going the way the New World Order wants, and we need to bring everything together to continue on with our agenda for a one world government. That's pretty much what he's saying. And right now, McCain is desperate, and he's urged Trump to meet with him because we can see right now, McCain, he's in a little bit of a trouble because remember, the senator revealed that he passed the fake Russian dossier claiming that Trump was into golden showers over the FBI in order to try and overturn his election win. This was followed by a series of embarrassing, career-destroying scandals that has seen his future as a politician come under question. These revelations include McCain's closest aides being arrested for raping children, McCain leaking national security information to Russian hackers, McCain accusing Rand Paul of working directly for Vladimir Putin, and we can see that McCain is in a lot of trouble right now. And what is happening is these individuals who are in our government, they are showing their true colors right now. They're showing the world what they're really about because they're drowning here and they're showing what they're really all about. Now, out in Macedonia, we know that Soros was pushing his agenda out there, and hundreds of thousands of people in the cities across Macedonia have rejected George Soros and the EU in the biggest display of anti-globalism ever seen. For 26 days straight, thousands of people have taken to the streets in order to send the message to Soros and European leaders that the people of Macedonia are a sovereign nation who utterly reject Soros, the EU, and we can see right now that people around the world are starting to catch on. People around the world are starting to realize that Soros is behind a lot of what is going on here. And the central bankers are behind in what is going on here. Now, out in Ukraine, we understand that things are really heating up there. We see this munitions depot. Well, it exploded in Ukraine. And of course, Poroshenko is pointing the finger at Russia, saying that Putin sabotaged it. And when you look at the video, it looks like there might have been some type of nuclear weapon that went off, because when you look at the explosion and you look at what happened, you can see that it does look like some type of nuclear weapon. You see a mushroom cloud. You see plasma rain falling. So it looks like there was some type of weapons in there. Who actually did this, we don't know, but we can see that Poroshenko is blaming this on Russia, and we can see that he is pushing the agenda to go to war against the southeastern people. And every time he points the finger at Russia, he wants Russia to be involved. He wants the United States, the neocons, to say, listen, we need lethal weapons. Bring them on in. Russia's coming after us. And we can see he's really trying to push his agenda out there. We see out in the Strait of Hormuz right now, we see the USS George H.W. Bush, the aircraft carrier, was sailing through the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, just right on schedule, the news reports are out there saying that Iran, their forces, their, the small little patrol boats, they're harassing the big aircraft carrier. Now, Iran is claiming that the U.S. Aircraft carrier and a Danish frigate and a French destroyer, they breached the international territorial waters. The commander denied that and saying that they're just harassing us as we go by, the country of Iran, because the Strait of Hormuz is a very narrow opening. And we can see right now, if Iran had its ships sailing in the Gulf of Mexico, you can betcha that the U.S. would be out there with its Navy boats looking at what is going on. And this is what Iran is doing. They are protecting their entire coast, which runs along this area. And we can see this has happened before where, yes, U.S. ships and other coalition force ships flowed into their territorial waters, then move right out just to provoke them. And we've seen this before. We see Turkish hackers, the Turkish crime family. Well, they're demanding $150,000 ransom by April 7th, or they will proceed to wipe out as many as 600 million Apple devices for which they allege they have the passwords. The group said via email that it had a database of about 519 million iCloud credentials for some time, but they didn't attempt to sell it until now. And according to the hackers, over 220 million of these credentials have been verified to work and provide access to the iCloud accounts that don't have security measures like the two-factor authentication turned on. And we see right now that they are pushing their agenda. They are saying that we're going to wipe out all the information. And as we approach April 7th, we'll have to see how this turns out. We'll have to see how Apple handles this to see if they put some safeguards into place. And we'll watch that very carefully. Out in Libya right now, we see that the U.S., well, they're leaving the troops inside of Libya right now. In a press briefing at the Pentagon, we see African Command Leader General Thomas Waldhauser announced that the U.S. intends to keep ground troops in Libya for the foreseeable future. Now remember, they were telling us that the Islamic State is regrouping in Libya. We know that the U.S. and the coalition forces were telling Russia and Haftar to release the oil ports. And we said right from that point in time that the UN-backed government was completely imploding, and we knew at that point that the U.S. was going to be heading back into Libya because they cannot let the Libyan people take control of the oil ports. So these troops are going to stay in Libya. And why do they need them? Well, they're going to start bombing certain areas in Libya. Even though just, a couple months ago they said they got rid of the Islamic State and they didn't have to bomb anymore. Well, they're going back in and they're going to start bombing Libya once again. This has nothing to do with democracy. This has nothing to do with freedom. This has nothing to do with the Islamic State. This has to do with General Haftar getting control of the oil ports and keeping the control there. This is why the United States is not going to leave. We see U.S. confirms coalition airstrikes in Mosul. Well, they've killed about 240 civilians. The United States admitted it, but they're pointing the finger at Iraq, saying they're the ones who ordered the airstrikes. Well, they might have ordered the airstrikes, but shouldn't the U.S. know where they're bombing, who they're bombing, and what they're bombing before they bomb? I would think so. We see there's secret government nuclear trucks that transport nuclear weapons for the military have been spotted along numerous highways across the U.S. And many people don't realize this, that the U.S. government regularly moves weapon-grade plutonium, uranium, nuclear bombs, and other dangerous equipment on civilian highways. And if you ever notice an 18-wheeler rolling with no markings on it whatsoever, well, you might want to give it a little bit of space because there could be nuclear weapons inside of it. The United States Department of Energy has a little-known department called the Office of Secure Transportation, OST. Even though the Department of Energy website doesn't list the OST, well, this mysterious arm of the government, well, they're the ones who transport this type of equipment. And the mission of the Office of Secure Transportation is to safely transport nuclear bombs, nuclear bomb components, and other nuclear material like plutonium, uranium, and whatnot. And we can see right now that they're moving these things around the country. Does it mean anything? No, but we know that they do move them around on purpose for a specific reason. We understand that the elite and the ultra-wealthy, well, they are getting prepared right now, and we can see they are preparing bunkers. The elite, well, they have completely decked out their bunkers with mementos, reminders of a normal life, and you can see that they set it up to be very comfortable when things start to fall apart, when the infrastructure starts to implode on itself, if we go to war, if there are riots, or anything like that. And you can see that these shelters include food for a year or more, and many have hydroponic gardens to supplement their food. They also are creating well-rounded communities with a range of skills necessary for long-term survival from like doctors to teachers. I mean, they have everything. And many of the interiors are left blank so they can design them on their own. And base models start around $25,000 and they go all the way up to $5 million. And their footprints also vary from 5,000 square feet all the way up to like 30,000 square feet. And it's not just happening in the United States, but it's happening all over the world. And you can see that the ultra wealthy, the elite, those individuals, they are getting prepared for something big. They know something is on the horizon. And we see people in China, people in Switzerland, people in Russia, people in the United States, and throughout Europe. They're all getting ready and prepared for something big. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.